And we're live! Welcome to the Wasteland. I'm Sebastian from KateCast Reviews, and thank you for joining us for another little bit of what we call News from the Wasteland. This is our weekly podcast where we gather around the campfire and discuss our thoughts on the state of the proverbial hellscape that is pop culture. And holy shit! We're doing this again! Who knew it would have taken us this long to get it back up and running, but hey, we're back and we're doing it and we're all glad to have you all here with us. And when I say we, I mean my closest friends, except for Luis, who is out there getting a very good night's sleep right now. Guys, would you like to introduce yourselves to the world, the new audience that we have that is currently watching us from God only knows where?
Hey guys, what's up? This is Diego here at KateCast Reviews, and today we are live for the first time. I couldn't be more excited, and it's good to be back on the Wasteland for a brand new episode of the podcast.
Hey, this is Manuel. Yes, it's been a while since we did this podcast. Yeah, some say it must have been, 2 months? Even though it feels like 1,000 years.
2 months? I wish it was 2 months. God damn, it's been almost half a year now.
Maybe in the Wasteland, time is different.
It's irrelevant.
It's non-linear.
Completely irrelevant. Exactly. I believe we have a couple of others here. Gabe, would you care to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Gabe, I guess. And I'll try to attend to these podcasts much more often. And for the record, the reason why this is our first podcast in a long while is because we couldn't get the usual people rounded up because daylight savings suck.
Even in the Wasteland, daylight savings is a bitch to have to deal with, and we do not know how to handle this thing properly, as you can imagine.
Even if it doesn't apply to where I live specifically, I still have to keep everywhere else in mind, because it applies to them.
Unfortunately, and that also applies to the rest of us. I think we also have somebody else in here. Robert, I believe you are here with us as well.
Hey guys, this is Robert, and I'm just happy to be back doing this for a good old time, and can't believe it's been half a year, yeah, and I've been going through stuff, but not as drastic, but it's been, again, nothing disastrous, but it's just good to be together to share, thoughts on the latest topic.
Out here in the Wasteland, every day is a disaster. But we survive somehow, and I don't even know how that's possible. So, let's talk about other types of disasters. Since it's been a while since we've done something like this, I think it's only fitting that we talk about actors or actresses that have been either underutilized, misused, or, let's be honest, completely and utterly wasted on really, really shitty roles. These can be some of the greatest actors in the world, or even some of the worst, but as long as they were placed in a film where they are basically wasted under every particular position you can imagine, then it definitely counts for us to talk about. This is not a discussion of whether or not they're any good, or whether or not these actors did a good job, or anything like that. No one really cares about whether their performances were any good, just whether or not anything that they did actually mattered in the grand scheme of things. So, who would like to go first? It's Diego. Obviously, it's going to be Diego.
You goddamn right. All right. So this pick that I'm gonna do first was actually submitted by my girlfriend Stephanie, who couldn't join us, but
Simp!
What?
Sorry.
You heard me right, man. Simp!
Yeah, it's true. Okay. So her pick was Ryan Reynolds in X-Men Origins Wolverine as Wade Wilson, or whatever the fuck
Oh,
that
Jesus.
was. Oh, God. Yep.
Yes.
Oh, God. Double.
Collective groans indicates just how much of a hot take this is, which is the coldest of all time.
The coldest? If that take could be any colder, it would have been enough to fucking destroy the Titanic and Leo along with him.
How long has it been, Rob?
14 years.
God damn it.
About it.
I saw this shit in... Okay, I didn't see it in theaters. I actually pirated the damn thing when the leak... I'm one of the people who watched the leaked version after it was made available online.
Hold on, Sebastian. Is that the one where you actually see the wires?
Yes! Yes! Oh my god! No, what I loved about this is that, if I recall correctly, I think this was like under an hour. It wasn't even like the whole movie, just a work print of a couple of the scenes that were still in development. So many of the effects were not completed yet. But then I watched the movie after it was available on television, and half this shit looked exactly the same. What the hell happened?
Okay. So now that we've covered the movie, really the saddest part about it, when you really think about it, is actually Ryan Reynolds, because of like what eventually came out with the 2 Deadpool movies and the upcoming 3rd one. Because when he's allowed to show his comedic side in the few scenes that he's in, you can actually see that Wade Wilson what he could have been in the movie. Like, there's this one scene that's like in an elevator where he's like talking really fast and he's like being all witty and stuff, and it's actually funny. Other times, it's like the action scenes where he gets this like weird super speed power to like use his samurai swords as like a helicopter type shield or some bullshit like that. It looks bad. It's a terrible idea that's executed terribly. The worst part is he's only in the movie for a few scenes, and then we don't see his character again for a long time. And when he does show up again, his mouth is sewn shut, and he can shoot lasers out of his eyes or teleport and.
Let me explain what happened there. What happened there was, apart from the horrendous CGI, which made that scene where he's shaking his swords around, looking like he's playing with basically acting like he's playing with lightsabers in Attack of the Clones, where everybody looks like they're playing with fucking glow sticks. Like, to me, that's what it felt like. But what happened there was that they basically took Deadpool and they tried to turn him into what eventually, and I hate to trigger you with this, Diego, but not entirely because you deserve this. They basically did to him what they eventually did to Wolverine in Logan. They turned him into the ultimate weapon. Only in this case, it was an amalgamation of all of these different mutants into one mutant. Why they sew his mouth shut, I have no fucking idea. I guess they thought he was too inappropriate, and when you really think about it, why is Deadpool in here in the first place? This isn't a comedy. Unintentionally. Not an intentional comedy. Because this film is hilarious, but not for the reasons that I wanted.
Diego, my friend, if you could only see the designs of what they wanted to do to Deadpool before they went for the final result where he looks like Baraka from Mortal Kombat.
Did he not already?
Yeah, I have seen them.
Oh my god.
They're very bad.
And also, I mean, not just Ryan Reynolds. Hell, everybody got wasted, especially the star himself, Hugh Jackman.
It really saddens me to see that, because I know Hugh Jackman really, really loves this role, and this was definitely, like, you can shit talk Logan all you want, Diego, but at least he was still Wolverine in that. He was allowed to be Wolverine. In this, he was barely allowed to be Wolverine. This was Wolverine with his nuts chopped off. Like, this is Wolverine if the mouse, before Disney actually had the rights to the X-Men, was looking over him. It's like, oh, you better not fuck this up. Oh. And the less I say about... Oh, hold on. Since we're talking X-Men Origins, can we talk about Gambit for a second here? He was underutilized too! Oh my god, poor Taylor... I shit on Taylor Kitsch, but truth be told, he's not that bad of an actor. He just has a really shit luck when it comes to movies.
Yep, I mean, sure. If you want to watch his best performance, watch him in the miniseries Waco. That's his best performance.
I've seen that, and he's right. That is a very good performance. Here, however, okay, hold on. You can correct me on this. He didn't even have an accent. Isn't Remy LeBeau supposed to have a fucking Cajun accent? He's supposed to sound very suave, very sexy, very cool and shit like that, like in the cartoon? Like, am I wrong?
Yeah, you're goddamn right. Just like this. You know, like, all cool and smooth. And yeah, but here, I think he went a little too far with the accents. Like, he tried to sound like Souder. I think.
Wait, he's from New Orleans. And
that's right.
And in New Orleans, you're supposed to have a, like, what was it? What was that accent you called it, Sebastian, again?
Oh, Cajun.
Yeah, he did not sound Cajun at all. And also, and also that effect of Wolverine slashing those stairs. My God, it. I mean, am I watching the pirated version of or the real version? You can't tell the difference.
I don't think there is any way that any of this actually makes any sense, because holy shit, this feels very... A lot of this just felt like they had no clue what the hell they were doing. Like, oh, by the way, to anybody wondering, we have raised the volume a little bit. If you still can't hear us, please feel free to let us know. But we have raised the volume a little bit. Hopefully that helps. But when it came to this movie, it felt like they were trying a lot of ideas, but neither one of them worked. And either they didn't work or they just weren't utilized to their full potential. And they also kind of created plot holes within the universe that this movie takes place in.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, this was really the downfall of like the Fox X-Men universe.
Yeah, until they brought it back up in First Class, and until Days of Future Past, they basically used time travel to just erase all the confusion and happened in Wolverine Origins, so that we can never talk about that again.
They should have just ended it at Days of Future Past, man.
Hey guys, I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit and just simply say that everybody in Dark Phoenix was wasted.
I have to agree with you.
Jesus Christ, Dark Phoenix.
But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Oh my god.
Yeah, is that well?
It was a mess. This franchise was a mess.
Especially Michael Fassbender. The guy, I mean, say what you will, he does a great job as Magneto, but he was really wasted in freaking Dark Phoenix.
I mean, I know that everybody wasn't the biggest fan. I know that not a lot of people were the biggest fan of Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique, but she didn't deserve the way that she went out in that movie.
Yeah. Not to mention, quote unquote, benching Quicksilver by saying, "Oh, his leg broken, so he's resting."
Oh, fuck off. Let's be honest. That is such bullshit.
Wait, did Jennifer Lawrence want it out? Like, you can clearly tell in past movies that she did not want to be there anymore. Like, she just did this for the paycheck, and I just want out. Like she didn't give a crap about doing Mystique anymore.
Just because she's tired of the waiting of, the hours of makeup appliance.
Yeah, that too.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think I read that it's 4 hours for makeup application.
That was about what it was for Michael Cummings as Nightcrawler in X-Men 2.
Alan Cummings.
Alan Cumming. It's Alan Cumming.
Alan Cumming. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, did you get everything off your chest about X-Men Origins?
Hold on. I forgot to mention. Are we not going to talk about creepy CGI Professor Xavier at the end?
Oh, God.
Oh, okay. Jesus, the terrible CGI de-aging. Oh, man.
And mind you, this was in 2009, before it got perfected in future MCU films.
I mean, jeez, I don't know. This movie doesn't really have an identity of its own. It just wants to... It feels like it was trying to be nothing but fan service, but it ended up just not really fan servicing anybody. Like, it was trying to please everybody, and it pleased no one at the end.
That's also, what happens. Wait, hold up a second. I just want to say this. That's what happens when your screenwriters are not available, because at the time they were doing this, there was a writer's strike. And thus, the writers for this movie were not available. So they would have to basically film this on the fly.
Yeah, I forgot this was in 2009. Or rather, the movie came out in 2009, and everything in the world was getting affected by the writer's strike.
Everything. And you could see this. I mean, hell, this movie came out the same year as Revenge of the Fallen.
I was just about to mention that one.
Yeah, and that one also got affected, if I recall correctly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was gonna be bad, but it ended up being way worse.
Oh, I mean, to me, the weird thing is, at least everyone in that movie felt like they had a reason to be there. Like, I don't know how to put it into words, but somehow I feel like Michael Bay got the most with his actors than everyone in X-Men Origins Wolverine did. which is really sad when you think about it.
Oh, by the way, I mean, and also, what time period does X-Men Origins Wolverine take place? Is it the 70s? Because it doesn't feel like the 70s.
It's the 1970s, since after Vietnam War.
I don't...
No, scratch that. Or early 80s? Late 70s? Early 80s? I forget.
In the not-too-distant future. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Oh, brother.
No, what? Okay, so I know this has nothing to do with the actual casting or anything like that. Can we all agree, like, this movie would have been a lot better if it was just Wolverine and Sabretooth going on every single world war and every single conflict between every single thing ever.
That is the best thing about that movie. The opening montage is a masterpiece.
And that's also a cold take.
No, actually, everything about that is so good, except during the D-Day sequence when fucking Sabretooth was, like, fucking lunging around like a goddamn tiger at everything around him. Like, how the fuck is nobody noticing this? I know that people are getting shot and killed left and right, but I'm pretty sure the fucking Allied forces are gonna be looking at this guy and thinking, should we do something about the guy running around like a fucking dog? Nah, I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure it's the Americans coming up with some crazy experiments again. Like, where's that Band of Brothers episode? I want to see that.
Yeah, wait, hey, we got that. It's called Overlord.
Fuck you, that movie was awesome. Oh my god. Okay. I think that's pretty much all we can say about it, because I think we kind of milked this enough as it was. We have KateCast watching us from afar because she couldn't join us today. Thank you for joining us here and for helping us get the audio right, because I was not aware that the audio was looking terrible, but at least everything is looking good according to what you're saying. Why don't we say we all move on to our next topic? Who would like to go next?
Me.
Who would that be? I'm sorry?
It's me, man. Can I say that? Oh, can I say my pick for the movie that wasted actor, on this case, Durst?
I mean, I was gonna say, yeah, go ahead. I'm just messing with you.
Okay. Here it goes. Movie 43.
Oh yes.
Oh my fucking
Amen to that.
God.
Every actor,
Everyone
every actor.
Wasted.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Movie 43.
I had forgot that movie existed until now.
I still remember like it was yesterday, because you're talking to someone who can recall a lot of stuff.
My childhood friend Christian, who is currently working up the ladder in the movie industry, by the way, he and I were obsessed with the production of this movie because of the whole idea that every single person in Hollywood was working on it. Like, we were so obsessed with the idea of this movie rather than the movie itself. So when it finally came out, I was already out of high school. I had already been kicked out and then graduated on a fucking shithole. And then I was starting my first year of college. So by the time it finally came out, I was like, oh yeah, it's the movie we were talking about. And it was destroyed by everyone. And I think that was one of the first times I ever remember seeing Chris Stuckman reviewing anything, was when he shit on that movie in the hardest way possible. Like, this film was hated by everybody. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, this is what we were talking about all those years in school? Like, really? This was what we were expecting?
Yep.
Yeah. An anthology movie that harkens back to the old days of comedy, like Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it's produced by the Farrelly brothers.
Which explains a lot, because fuck the Farrelly brothers.
Yeah, but this is the same guys that did Dumb and Dumber and Something About Mary, so it's like, okay, so it's not produced by Adam Sandler. Okay, when I watched it, first scene that I can remember, because it's been a while since I've seen this movie. Hugh Jackman and Kate Winslet in a scene. Okay, that's good.
No.
And then when he removes his scarf, balls on his chin.
Honestly, here's the thing. Honestly, Men in Black 2 did it better.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Except nobody was there to.
He's a Chimbolian.
No, it was Kate. He's a Bolchinian.
Bolshevik, and that's
jumps like 6 feet in the
Yeah.
air.
There was I saw the bloopers for that scene. Will Smith did 40 different takes of that, just coming up with different names for it. Oh my God.
But man, I keep expecting Kate Winslet to just hit those nuts like Will Smith. Because,
Oh, good.
my God, it's just so distracting. And the comedy is so bad. And not just Hugh Jackman. I mean, the other ones I can think of, Jason Sudeikis, Ted Lasso himself, doing a Batman? Was he dressed like Batman?
Yeah, it was just that.
Okay, I have the full cast list here. Does anybody want me to read it?
Please do, please do, please do.
I remember the cast list. You got Elizabeth Banks, Chloe Grace Moritz, Jeremy Allen White, who will go on to star in The Bear. You also got McLovin himself, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Emma Stone, Halle Berry, Terrence Howard, Kristen Bell, future Star-Lord himself, Chris Pratt, Anna Faris, his wife at the time, once upon a time, Macaulay Culkin's brother Kieran, Gerard Butler as a freaking leprechaun. Better Call Saul himself, Dennis Quaid, Naomi Watts. Jesus Christ!
You know what? Yeah. I'm just gonna snip this and I'll just share it in the chat.
I think the one that I remember the most from this piece of shit is I don't remember what it was. I think it was Chloe Grace Moretz was having her period and fucking McLovin was trying to plug it up with what was it? Oh God, I don't remember what it was, but it was basically they were trying to find every single appliance they could get just to plug it. I was like, get this girl a maxi pad or a tampon. What the fuck are you idiots doing?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Don't you remember the part where Johnny Knoxville and Sean William Scott himself, Stifler himself, are they have a leprechaun?
I completely forgot about the leprechaun, and poor Kate is now horrified. Poor Kate is now horrified hearing that Bob Odenkirk was in this fucking movie. Remember, Bob Odenkirk was also technically a comedian, so he worked on a lot of shitty comedies, including The Office.
So one thing I want to add about movie 43, which I heard about behind the scenes, apparently Richard Gere was really against appearing in this movie.
No,
he actually moved the production to where he lived. They paid $800 a day. $800 a day.
Yeah. I was about to say that. That's the most interesting part of this production is that they tried to the point where they had to go into his house and ask him to be in this movie, and they will pay him $800 per day?
They were begging every single one of these people to be in this movie because not a single one of them wanted anything to do with it. That's how fucking bad this was. No one wanted anything to do with it, and it shows. This was bad on every level imaginable.
Yep.
Yeah. And I remember that James Gunn was one of the directors for one of the segments.
I'm sure it was one of the few that was actually funny, but let's be honest, not even James Gunn could make this shit work, because this was just... I don't even know what the mindset is for this. I'm already not a fan of quote-unquote anthology stories, because to me, an anthology story, when it's done like this, it's just an excuse to make whatever random bullshit you want and not have an actual plot or story to connect to it, which a lot of shitty filmmakers tend to do nowadays. But
hold on.
You can hold on. This was fucking terrible. None of these stories were any good, and they had nothing to do with each other. But even on their own, the stupid thing with the leprechaun, nothing in this film felt like it was trying to be funny. It just felt like, you know what this felt like? It felt like a mishmash of ideas to see what is the most offensive and disgusting thing we can do, and how many people are going to get so triggered they're going to be writing blog posts all over BuzzFeed to try to get us canceled. And all of that notoriety is going to make us popular as a result of it. To me, that's what this felt like. It felt less like a movie and more like what Ricky Gervais said when he said that this year I'm going to try to get myself canceled because these imbeciles do not realize that there's a difference between being funny and being a fucking jackass.
Yep.
It's bad. This is bad. Does anybody have a particular
More jackass
actor?
than jackass?
God damn it, Gabe. Okay, so does anybody have a particular actor from that movie that they want to single out? Like I don't remember a fucking thing of this movie except for that bit where Chloe Grace Moretz was having her period. So
I haven't seen the film. I haven't seen the film personally, so
you saved yourself a lot of brain damage by not watching it because this film was bad, and Kate is probably horrified at the idea of whatever Bob Odenkirk was doing in that movie.
So one other thing I want to add, since we're mentioning actors in particular now, I think there's a scene with Naomi Watts and Ewan McGregor where their kid is he's never had his first kiss, and the mom is like, "Oh, I'll give you your first kiss."
Oh God, no, no, fuck.
Diego,
wait,
I think that's
no, wait.
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, no, it was Sabretooth. We were just talking about X-Men Orange's Wolverine, and
mind you, they were
oh fuck me.
Yeah, that's right. I remember now. They got him because he was married to her, so I figured it'd be like a 2-for-1. I don't know.
Oh
God. And not just that. Halle Berry with who was the guy? Yeah, I think he was in the British version of The Office. I can't remember his name, but he was
Stephen Merchant.
Yeah, Stephen Merchant was in that movie too. Even freaking, but the Jason Sudeikis is the one where it broke the camel's back up how painfully unfunny this scene is. And Jason Sudeikis is a pretty funny guy. Look at his stuff. It's SNL.
Oh my God. Kate, to answer your question, this movie came out in 2011. So by the time it came out, shit like epic and disaster movie were already collectively being written off the unconscious of society. So this movie was in production for years, though. It was in production when those movies were still coming out. So it's very likely that this movie... Because when I was seeing this movie in production, me and my friend Kristen, we thought this was going to be like a comedy in the same vein as something like Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, or any of those big ensemble movies like Love Actually, which they have all these different actors to come in, and it's all these different stories in their own connective tissue, and it's all that. Like, that's what we thought. Never in a million years did we think that this was going to be what basically SNL for the alt-right.
Correction. It didn't come out in 2011. It came out in 2013.
What? What? Yep. Bullshit! No! I need to fact check this! I swear to God, I remember.
I just checked it. Yeah. January 2013, actually. Oh, look!
What?
Movie month.
What the fuck? This movie came out in 2013? Why the hell did I remember this coming out in 2011? What came out in
on a January, no less.
What the fuck?
Movies.
What the fuck? Why? What? Why? Am I having a fucking Mandela effect? What the hell came out in January that reminded me of this?
Probably a lot of other shitty movies.
Well, none of them were as bad as this, though. What the shit?
And honestly, that's not the worst part. The running time for in America is 94 minutes. 90 in the UK version, it's 98 minutes.
Oh God! So people were seeing longer versions of this outside of the US?
Apparently so.
Maybe
4-minute plus cut.
Oh God! My condolences to the poor British people who have to sit through this piece of shit.
May your brain cells rest in peace.
How to do with good old Stephen Merchant, eh?
To be fair, Stephen Merchant also writes a lot of your shitty comedies, so I wouldn't count him out of this.
Let's see.
Oh God, hold on.
It came out in 2011 in January.
Okay, let's see here. I'm curious.
Oh God.
There's the Green Hornet that came out on the 14th.
That didn't happen. I'm gonna pretend that didn't exist for the sake of my own sanity.
There's this one. There's this one called The Right.
Never heard of it.
From Warner Brothers Pictures, New Line Cinema.
Sounds like another shitty art house film. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
It's not even an art house film.
Ow.
No.
Oh god.
It's just a movie. It's just a movie with Anthony Hopkins in it. It didn't do great.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's like a demonic possession movie.
Wait. Oh god, I remember that film now. Yes. But
21% on Rotten
I have
Tomatoes.
that movie. I actually got that movie on DVD.
oh god, I remember when this was being advertised. And yes, Kate, none of these people really wanted anything to do with this. They were all pretty much suckered into doing it. Like a lot of it. It basically was the equivalent of some shithead on YouTube basically e-begging for people to collab with him.
Yeah, and also harassing people.
That too. There was a lot of harassment as a result of it. This film was awful in every respectable way, but I think if we talk about this for too long, we're going to be here forever. Anybody, anything else they have to say before we go on a quick little commercial break?
No, I think we're good.
All right then. We're going to go on a little bit of a break, and when we come back, we will talk about our next topic, whichever one that will be. So stick around. We will be right back after these messages. And we're back. Alright, so let's go ahead and get back into the game. Who here would like to go next?
Moi. It is I.
And okay, Dio, would you like to go ahead and start us off?
Yes, there is this one superhero movie where you all know this one. In fact, a little hint. Diego will be talking about it soon. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they have wasted Felicity Jones as Felicia Hardy.
Oh, God.
Amen to that.
Is there...
And not just her, Dana DeHaan as Harry Osborn.
They wasted everybody except Andrew Garfield.
Yes, that's true too. Especially Chris Cooper. I'm sorry, Oscar winner Chris Cooper.
Yep.
There's no maniacal left to be hurt this time. Just pain. Pure, concentrated pain. I think, no, okay, so, did anyone know before they went to the internet that chick Felicity was supposed to be that chick Felicity? Because when I heard that name being dropped, I swear to God, the first thing that came to mind was, who the hell is this bitch? That sounds like a very clumsy way of talking about some character that no one really cares about, unless she's supposed to be a very important part of the story. Never appears ever again, never gets mentioned, and then I remember, wait, this is a Spider-Man movie, there's only one Felicity that I know. Oh my God, that was Black Cat?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
and
fucking
not
Black Cat.
only that, this poor young woman was in the movie until she got removed. Shailene Woodley could have been Mary Jane.
I was going to bring that up.
Out.
Oh my God.
I talked about all of that in my review, which you can all see on Friday, but...
Oh my God, yes! It was... Oh God, I remember when I saw this for the first time, and I found out that was supposed to be Black Cat. Why was she here? She does nothing in this movie! She literally existed as a sentient plot point. Oh, not even a plot point, I'm sorry, that would imply she had something to do with the movie. She was literally just walking fan service. It's like, hey everyone, it's Black Cat, bye Black Cat. Now let's move on with the rest of the movie, which isn't really all that good. Poor Kate here, she says it was pointed out to me like 5 years after the fact. That's how long it took for her to figure that out! How are we supposed to figure out that this character is supposed to be important? Let alone a fucking supporting character of Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery!
Honestly, I was the first. Maybe I was the only one in the audience that thought, no way, this is how they're going to introduce Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat. And what?
She's like supposed to be a cat burglar too, so what's she doing working for Oscorp in the movie?
Well, my theory is she's there to, under alias, to gather intel and then eventually break into the place to steal valuable goodies to then sell the Heisberg to get some money. Because, that's what thieves do.
Orale.
Corporate espionage, if you will. Orale,
Catwoman. You're not Selena Kyle. I mean, you are because you're kind of a ripoff of the character, unless you came out first. I don't care about comic facts. All I know is you did nothing in this movie, and Felicia was completely unnecessary. This is the second worst Felicia I've seen since the Felicia from that song that Will Smith did in one of his albums. Oh my god.
Okay. And, I mean, but poor Shailene Woodley, because I don't know if they would have even if she was included in the movie, maybe it was a fate that I think deleting her from the movie might have saved her from being wasted, because honestly, on paper, she fits the character of Mary Jane.
She does, honestly. And here's the thing. I thought when they said that she was going to be in the movie, I thought they were talking like a deleted scene. And I spent years of my life wasted trying to find that deleted footage. Come to find out, it was actually just an idea that never materialized. But you know what?
No, it's not an idea. They actually shot it. They just didn't include it in the DVD unless you find it on YouTube.
Wait a minute, what? Hold on, you tell me they really did shoot this. And
There's even pictures of Shailene as MJ on a scooter and bumps into Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker, and you can tell there's some good dynamic. No, I remember seeing images.
Okay, I know about the picture. I saw that picture, but I never thought about the footage, because I've been looking for that my whole goddamn life, and I never found it. But you know what I did find? And I got so angry when I saw it. So I didn't get to find any footage of MJ and Peter Parker talking, but I did find the fucking footage of Peter crying in Gwen Stacy's grave, and surprise, your dad is here!
His father is alive, which I'm like...
So fucking stupid. So stupid.
Like,
it's like one of those Truman Show twists where you start to question reality.
Hold on. Kate said this. Kate just put this on the chat. To bring back a joke from back when the movie came out, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a glorified trailer for Amazing Spider-Man 3, and we all know how well that worked out, don't we?
Kate, I really encourage you to watch my video on Friday, because holy shit, you are going to love it.
This podcast just turned into an advertisement for your fucking review.
And we all know how well that's going to turn out.
And let's not forget Paul Giamatti as Alexei the Rhino. Seriously, what kind of pick was that? I love Paul Giamatti. I love the actor. He can be funny, he can do drama. But here, though, he's more like a goon than a main villain.
I mean, isn't Rhino supposed to be a goon?
Yeah. Rhino's not like a main level villain threat to Spider-Man. He's more, what Sebastian said, a goon.
He's no Bane. Muscle. He's no Bane.
No, he wishes he was Bane.
I will say this. I will say that Paul Giamatti would have been a better choice as Otto Octavius instead.
In a different universe, yes, but I genuinely cannot see anybody other than Alfred Molina playing him, to be honest. I am so used to him playing the character, I just can't see anybody else.
But I'm just saying, this is a different universe, so Paul Giamatti as Otto Octavius would have been okay.
Yes!
And there's also Jamie Foxx as Max Dillon / Electro. I mean, I love the guy, but him playing as a nerd type character, especially with the glasses, I'm like, you can't do that to Jamie. He's too good looking to play a nerd, especially this type of category.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the same look they did with Jim Carrey in Batman Forever, which you got to see, Sebastian, back in my birthday party in November.
Yeah, I will say this, though. At least Jim Carrey is enough of a chameleon that I could at least buy the idea that he could be a dork or a nerd. With Jamie Foxx, I kept expecting him to grab a whip and beat the shit out of Spider-Man and fucking say, "I like the way you die, Spider-Man." Like, you can't...
No. Yeah, that's great.
No, okay, I will say this much. Like, Jamie Foxx was to playing a nerd what fucking Wiz Khalifa was to playing a nerd in Matt Can Never Go to High School. I think, to quote the rap critic, I'd have an easier time believing he was Eleanor Roosevelt. This was... Oh my god. I think... No, you know... Okay, you're gonna disagree with me on this, but you know who was really wasted in this goddamn movie? More so than even Felicia. I hate to say it, but Gwen Stacy got wasted too.
What? But she had quite the role throughout the whole second film, especially helping Peter take down Electro.
Yeah.
And then they fucking killed her off! Because fuck you and everything about this movie!
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that is true. Hell, I would have done that. I would have saved the death for a later future film. But anyway,
I would have not killed her now! You don't have to... Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but why do you have to... Screw faithfulness to the comic! If this is the one thing in your movies that work, why do you kill her? Why?
I wish
The whole reason Harry and Norman Osborn are even in this movie is specifically to kill Gwen off. They wasted 2 hours and 20 minutes of our time just for that.
Oh, God.
Not to mention, waste their time building up the Sinister Six. Like, it's like Sony has a hard on going, like, we need Sinister Six now. But the plot, fuck the plot. We want Sinister Six.
We want that money.
I mean, you say that they wasted their time. They are still wasting their time teasing the Sinister Six.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Can you
through the goddamn Marvel Sonyverse or whatever.
Not even just that. I think this is something that Gabe would like to talk about, or if he wants to talk about something else, but I think I know exactly what he's referring to. But I really feel like, to quote the Blockbuster Buster, this was not the right time to kill off Gwen, especially when you consider that she was legitimately the thing that held this movie together besides Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Like, Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man. He was also really good Peter Parker. Like, good, but at the same time, it's the same thing with Jamie Foxx. They made him too cool and too sexy. Like, he was more of a gay sexual awakening for me than he was Peter Parker.
He also stalked Gwen Stacy. Can we all just remember and acknowledge that?
No, hold on. Nobody said a goddamn thing about him doing it, but when Edward Cullen does it, now it's a fucking problem.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I had to call those people out. I'm not even a Twilight apologist. I'm not a Twilight apologist. I just feel like it's funny that nobody ever brings that up when talking about Twilight. When talking about the Amazing Spider-Man, but they will always talk about it when Twilight is involved. Sorry, you were saying, Robert?
Then there's also Chris Cooper playing as Norman Osborn, only to get killed off because of a sickness, and then tells Harry, "Oh, son, before I die, you have a sickness too, but since you're younger, you might die sooner than I can, even though it took me years to die. So, and you won't get claws like I do."
What was it? Was it really that difficult to just say he died of a drug overdose? If you're gonna switch things up, why not just make it so that it was fucking Norman who was the drug addict, and Harry had to look over him? Because that's kind of what happened in the comics. Harry was a drug addict, he ended up relapsing. Norman didn't want anybody to find out about it, so he ended up getting everybody away so that they wouldn't see that his son was ailing. Because he was in a very big and powerful position, he didn't want anybody to figure that out. He took his anger out on Peter and his friends, not because he hated them, but because he legitimately felt like they were a terrible influence on him. He may have been an abusive father, but at least his heart was in the right place, questionably speaking. You could have done a reverse of that here, but no. Yeah. He's dying from... What the hell is he dying from again? Cancer?
I'm gonna call it the plottitis because it doesn't plot.
So get the bitch out of the filmitis, basically.
I would have thought that it was more of like an inherited disease, like something that runs in his family.
Yeah,
like,
that was established. I remember. But then there's Dan DeHaan, which can we talk about the lack of friendship between him and Peter? Like, they're supposed to be the best of friends for years, and then when they're talking, reuniting, it's just awkward as fuck.
I mean, okay, allow me to defend that for just a little bit. Neither Peter nor Harry in the Raimi movies had any sort of friendship to speak of, and the reason why is because they're only hanging out with each other because they're complete losers and nobody likes them and they have no one else to hang out with. So they're not really friends, but rather they're friends of convenience. So they hang out with each other and they talk to each other, but they're not really friends in the traditional way. Here, however, they weren't friends, period. I find these two, I believe that these two are friends in the same way that I believe Mark Zuckerberg is not a fucking parasite trying to destroy America.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, they did wasted Dane DeHaan in this. I mean, hell, they wasted the Green Goblin in this. Like, why do you introduce the Green Goblin just to kill off Gwen Stacy? Because I would not have done that. I would have just saved that. I would have saved that for the later movie, but yeah, so on and so forth.
I think. Hold on. What did Norman die of? Something science. Something Peter's parents. Something sequel setup. That's really the reason they killed him.
That's the plot of Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, and also they completely ripped off Ang Lee's Hulk by making Peter Parker. The reason why he could have died from radiation sickness is because the spiders had Richard Parker's DNA in them, or he put some of his DNA in the spiders, so that hence why Peter didn't die, and hence got the powers, which kind of.
Whoa, that just got a little complicated right there.
Yeah, no. I was about to say that. It's like, hold on, okay, say that again, but repeat it, but tell it to me like I'm 5.
There's a lot to unpack there, but I'd rather save that for my review.
Yeah, we'll let you take care of that. I am an apologist of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but there's some shit in Amazing Spider-Man 2 that I just cannot. Even I, of all people, cannot defend this, and I'm the kind of guy who defended fucking what was his name, Dennis Leary's ghost appearing out of nowhere, because even though I hated what they did to him in the first movie. I hated that they made him an antagonist, and I hated that they changed his personality from the comic. But in the second movie, it makes sense that he will basically be haunting Peter, because he's going to be like, I fucking told you to keep Gwen out of this, and what is the first thing you do? You keep Gwen on this! And he's basically stalking him throughout the whole movie, and I just keep thinking, is this Dear Evan Hansen? I will not move on until I am finished with the Greatest Showman video, which will come out God only knows when. After that, I can stop talking about it.
Soon, please, soon. Please, soon, so you can move on from this shit.
It'll take forever. I don't know how long it'll take, but I will say this. Dennis Leary's ghost was stupid, but it actually made sense for it to happen here. But I do have to agree on one thing, and Kate actually just pointed this out. Why wasn't he haunted by Uncle Ben?
Because they couldn't afford to get Martin Sheen back.
No, they couldn't afford Martin Sheen, but they could afford Jamie Foxx and Chris Cooper and fucking who played Richard Parker in this movie? I forget.
Campbell Scott.
Okay, so they could have afforded him. What the fuck, though? This film really felt like it was less a movie
for Sally Field. Frickin' Sally Field as Aunt May.
That's true. That is completely true. Like, this wasn't a movie. This was a commercial for a film that's never gonna come out.
Much like Fan Four Stick.
Honestly, say what you will about Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I kind of grew fond of that movie over the years, especially from No Way Home. Actually, No Way Home made the Amazing Spider-Man 2 better, in my eyes.
like I said, I'm an apologist for it, so I never really hated it. I just thought this was definitely a step backwards compared to the first movie. But overall, I really don't hate this movie. I just hate all the stupid decisions that were made for it. But I think No Way Home kind of helped redeem it a little bit. And nothing of value was lost, like Kate just said.
That's correct.
So, how about we stop with the rage for a few seconds, and how about we move on to something else? Gabe, I believe you had something you wanted to say.
Oh, well, I did, but I got curious as to what you thought I was going to talk about.
Well, when you mentioned that thing about Marvel, or rather Sony, just basically trying to beat the dead horse that is trying to build the Sinister Six, I kind of thought you were going to bring up that stupid El Diablo movie with Bad Bunny.
I mean, the movie hasn't come out yet, but at this point, it does seem like Bad Bunny is being wasted on on this film.
That is true. But to be fair, I don't think this will be the worst thing that Bad Bunny's been wasted on, but we can talk about that later. What did you want to talk about, though?
I don't know, man. It's like, I have such a small list of things. Off the top of my head, I just recently thought of this. This is the most recent example, but Bill Murray in Ant-Man Quantumania. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Or is it just
I
me?
actually do.
No, I completely agree.
This guy was being pushed top billing, and like he was in the big trailer, and they showed him. He wasn't in the entire trailer, but they were really pushing him. Like, I mean, I was expecting some kind of a role, but I didn't expect his role to be so
Useless?
so minor. Yeah, like it's like his only purpose is to basically set up the fact it's like, yes, there are human-esque species living in the quantum world, and that they had to, for some reason, imply that she was able to satisfy her needs through him. Like, his only purpose is to basically set up Kong, and to kind of set up, it's like, yes, I did actually live here.
Wait, Kong was in this movie? King Kong was in this movie?
Look,
God damn it, it's Kang.
Kang, yeah. Look.
I'm sorry.
My apologies. Look, my point is, Bill Murray's character only served a purpose, and then he served it, and then he was killed off. I think he only lasted like 10 minutes.
He lasted
less than
One scene.
like I think Judi Dench spent more time in Shakespeare in Love than Bill Murray did in this movie, and at least she got an Oscar for it. However undeserving that it was.
I mean, you could argue with me about this all day, and I would probably agree with you. But like, say, like what happened with the Suicide Squad, where you had like this cast of characters, and then they were all killed off at the very beginning. Spoiler alert. And then we get to the actual team, the actual cast of the Suicide Squad.
I mean,
Well,
to be
actually,
fair,
I wouldn't say it's wasted. Nobody's
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm saying that you could make the argument that they were wasted, but I don't think that they were.
they weren't, honestly. I have to agree that they weren't. Because they served their purpose. The Suicide Squad is supposed to be exactly that. A squad that they're basically expendable. They can die on every command, and they'll have some other assholes to fill in their place. So it kind of fit. And I like the fact that they kind of made a spectacle out of that in the first movie. But at least, and I will say one more thing, because I know it's not about the movie we're talking about, but at least we saw some of the squad dying, which is more than I could say about the first Suicide Squad, where the only one that dies is goddamn Steppenwolf and Diablo, a.k.a. I already lost one family, I'm not losing another. I don't know what family he's talking about, but it's definitely not the fucking family that he decided to not help with his powers that he did not use until the fucking end when he dies, and no one gave a fuck about. But that's neither here nor there, so Bill Murray in this movie, absolutely wasted. And
to put the nail in the coffin, Bill Murray was it's Jeff. Sorry, Jeff Goldblum in Thor Ragnarok had a bigger role in that movie than Bill Murray did in all of Quantumania.
That's fucking sad, but it's true. It's sad but true.
Hey, just realized they never worked together.
Who worked together? No, they didn't. Honestly, part of me believes that Bill Murray wasn't even really with any... This wasn't really him on set. They just CGI'd him from whatever warehouse he was hiding under because Bill Murray is probably wanted for many crimes that none of us know about because it's Bill Murray. But it didn't feel like he really wanted to commit to anything here. It just felt like, hey, we like you in that movie where you bust some ghosts, so can you please do that here?
I'm like, yeah, okay.
It's like, this felt like a paycheck picture for him, to be honest.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense to put his name on the cast list and the posters and promos. Like, it didn't make sense. It was basically a glorified cameo, nothing more.
No, you know what? No, that's not even the thing that annoys me. What annoys me is that they said he was going to be the main villain of this movie. How can you have him as the main villain if you literally just stated that Kang the fucking Conqueror is going to be the main villain here? Which one is it, Marvel?
I thought when he was first announced? I thought he was going to play as Scott Lang's dad. That would have been a good casting pick.
I honestly thought that he was going to be like another person working under Kang. Like on the same level as MODOK. But kind of like a right-hand man kind of person. It's like you have it's like the dragon in TV tropes. It's like you have that person that can do all the dirty work for you and you don't have to lift a finger. But then you have MODOK, which is more like the muscle, the hitman. It's like if you want somebody dead, this is the guy you send.
Oh god, I hate to say this, but KG Beast and Batman v Superman had more of a purpose than fucking Bill Murray did in this movie. And I hate myself for even saying that.
Or hell, he had a better purpose than MODOK with his horrible CGI.
The CGI wasn't the problem. The problem was that MODOK doesn't have a purpose of being in here when the big bad is already fucking Kang. Why are there two villains here?
Oh shit! Wait! Has Kate not seen the movie?
She has. I'm sure she has. But the thing that annoys me more than anything is that you didn't really need any of them. You didn't need Bill Murray, and you sure as shit didn't need MODOK. I enjoyed the scenes with MODOK, shitty CGI or not, but I could not, under any understanding, come to the conclusion that there needed to be 3 villains in this, or 2.5 if you count Bill Murray.
You know what would have been great for Bill Murray's character? Since he already did play a role as part of the rebels with the mom, I forgot her name. Forgive me.
Janet Van Dyne.
It's Janet Van Dyne.
Thank you, Janet. I thought that he would be like a secret man to the other rebels, the people that want to go up against Kang, and then
Undercover agent, you mean?
Yeah, and then there would be the twist. It's like, oh, it's a trap. It's like, I am a double agent. I've been working actually for Kang this entire time.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, shit, it's like Snowpiercer or something like that, when it turns out that the guy leading the resistance is actually working as, like, population control, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Thank you for spoiling that for me, but yes. It's okay. I genuinely feel like this movie could have really... If you could have cut out every scene with Bill Murray in it, replaced it with some faceless nobody, or some alien, or whatever, and the end result would have been the same. Like, I feel like the reason for why the CGI is so bad, besides the overworked special effects artists, is because they spent all their budget trying to get Bill Murray in this movie, when they could have literally just get anybody else in it.
Pretty much.
Hey. So, we're going to go on a little bit of a break right now, and when we come back, I will have my first say into what I consider to be one of the most wasted roles ever. So, stick around, we will be right back after these messages. And we're back! Alright, so Sylvester Stallone in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was something I didn't really remember even happening. I know he's in it, I remember him in the movie, but I genuinely feel like he was only in there as a glorified cameo. Let's see. So, we have a couple of our Wastelanders who took a break. They're going to be back in just a few minutes. In the meantime, I think it's about time that I started talking. So, Diego, Emmanuel, are you guys still there with me?
I am still here, yes.
Alright.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think my time is running out because I gotta go now. I gotta do some stuff because I gotta work in less than 2 hours.
You're gonna go outside in the frickin' wasteland at this time?
Yes, even in the wasteland, I had to pay my bills. Even though there's not, we're in the wasteland and there's not, an IRS doesn't even exist. But for some reason, I see some people trying to pay their taxes there in that corner. So I gotta go, man. But great, I had fun with you guys, man. Talking about movie 43 made my day.
Well, try not to get yourself killed out there. The fucking rat roaches are everywhere.
Yeah. Or, hell, I might be a war boy.
You're not comic crazy enough. You're mediocre.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, see you around, Emmanuel. Fuck you too.
Yeah, fuck you too.
Alright, so, while I wait for everybody else to get there, let's go ahead and talk about the one that I was going to talk about. I'm actually going to be talking about two, because this one is such a minor one that it doesn't really matter, but it's definitely one that I feel like bringing up. Does anyone else feel like... Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can bring this up without pissing anyone off. Does anybody else feel like maybe Giancarlo Esposito is kind of wasted in The Boys?
No. I don't quite feel like that.
Oh god! Oh god! You guys are back! You guys didn't warn me! I was gonna be controversial, and you guys didn't warn me.
I mean, I did write in the chat that I came back.
Did you though? I don't see anything there.
I did.
I saw the message.
Oh, you wrote it on the fucking chat here. Ah, damn it. All right. Anyways, let's go ahead and ignore what I said about that. Let's talk about what I was really going to be talking about here, which is this particular movie. Some of you probably have never even seen nor heard of, but if you are British and you are a fan of Alex Rider, I am very sorry for the atrocity that was Stormbreaker. There was this movie called Alex Rider Stormbreaker, which came out in 2006, and this is supposed to be London's, or rather England's, very first foray into the blockbuster scene. It was the most expensive British film at the time, had a whole bunch of everybody from Britain working on it. It had a whole bunch of different characters, a whole bunch of different roles by different British people, including Robbie Coltrane, may he rest in peace. And there was one particular British actor who was in this movie, and I was completely horrified to find out that this guy was actually Andy Serkis.
Wow.
No. I haven't told you what the character was. So, the plot of these movies, or rather this movie, because they never got to make a sequel because of how bad the film was that basically it's James Bond, but with a teenage boy. And the main villain is this billionaire tech guru motherfucker who was supposed to be a Lebanese man in the book. Instead, he's played by Mickey Rourke in the movie because Mickey Rourke is a popular name, I guess. I don't know why they couldn't pick some other British actor. Maybe Alan Rickman, but okay, whatever. So, Andy Serkis' character is named Mr. Grin, because he always has this really creepy grin like this, like, God, almost kind of looks like Heath Ledger's Joker, if that makes any sense. And this is 2 years before The Dark Knight. He has this really permanent grin on his face, and also, he's a permanent mute.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, he's a permanent mute, and he says nothing throughout the whole movie, and he really only exists to be nothing more than a glorified lackey who doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything, and in the book he gets killed. He dies in an explosion, but in the movie he just flies in a helicopter away, and we never see him again.
Well, that's terrific.
Sounds like Dave Bautista's character Inspector.
Dave Bautista's character Inspector is nothing compared to this. Like,
Wasted.
This was such a pointless addition. Like, why even put him in there? Why not just get some extra? Like, you could have literally fit this role with anybody if you're gonna waste him this badly. But to be fair, no extra would ever want to attach their name onto this with how bad everything in this movie is. I'm not gonna bore you with the details, but there's one particular person who was wasted in this movie, and he wasn't even a cast member. I told this to Robert, and he could not believe me when I told him.
I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh, God. So, the movie had a fight choreographer coming in to teach the young actor how to fight, and basically choreograph all the fight scenes in this movie, because there was a large amount of fight scenes in this film, and come to find out, the person choreographing the fight scenes in this movie was goddamn Donnie Yen.
Oh, God.
And that's... No. It's like... Crap. Here's the worst part. Donnie Yen knows how to choreograph a fight scene. He's good at it. He's the best at what he does. He's Ip Man, for fuck's sake. The problem is, I found out Ip Man only has one weakness. Shitty editing.
Oh, yep. I should know. I saw one of the clips.
It takes everybody out, man.
This movie's fight scenes are jumbled together with fast cuts, quick jumps to different scenes. There's one scene in the movie where Alicia Silverstone is fighting with Missy Pyle inside of an apartment, and it keeps jumping back and forth between them fighting and this really shitty Tom and Jerry knockoff cartoon playing the television. And there's a scene where her head gets impaled with a fucking bloater fish, the puffer fish. I forgot what you call those things. And she gets electrocuted during that fight scene by shoving her head in the microwave. But she walks it out. She's still fighting like nothing's happening. And the scene amounts to nothing except, look, there's a fight scene and that's it. No one ever brings it up afterwards. I think Film Brain and Dominic Noble said it best when they called it the worst Donnie Yen fight scene in movie history. So, as much as I want to shit on Andy Serkis' character, I feel like Donnie Yen was the more wasted one in this film, because he did a good job trying to choreograph, or at least he tried to, but no amount of good fight choreography can save you from terrible editing, and this movie has such god-awful editing. It's so bad, it almost made me forgive the editing in Bohemian Rhapsody. Almost. That's how bad it was.
No, that's a sin.
It's a fucking sin. But I think, since you guys don't really have a whole lot to say about it, I'm sure, I'm going to quickly move on to another one, a bonus one. And because I know that Kate is watching, I'm sure she's going to love to hear about this. My other wasted role, and this is one that I wasn't even really going to talk about until I remembered that this was a thing that happened. I'm so sad that Emmanuel left, because he would have been laughing his ass off if I told him this. Amy Adams in the Dear Evan Hansen movie.
Oh, I'm gonna have to agree with you there.
Not just her too. Danny as well, who played the new husband too. He was also sadly wasted.
I'm gonna keep this one very short, but Amy Adams in this movie was so horrifically wasted in such an easy role to fill. Cynthia Murphy is not a difficult character to cast if you know who you're looking for. You need someone who is compassionate, caring, and who can sing, but also someone who is grieving and is trying to find a way to kind of fix that hole left over from the death of her son. Amy Adams in this movie is reduced to just a glorified cameo in terms of what she contributes to the film. She's in the movie a lot, but she doesn't do anything worthwhile, because a lot of her contributions were removed in order to make Evan Hansen a thing in the movie. I know it's his name on the fucking marquee, but guess what? He's the fucking cause of all the bad things that happen, except for the death of the guy who's supposed to be the main focus. I genuinely did not think I was going to bring up Dear Evan Hansen again after I did a fucking video essay on it, but there we go.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, if you want to call it that.
Sebastian, there's an old saying, such is life.
Life can eat a dick. Who else wants to talk? I'm done talking about it for now. Oh, I need to save myself up for the one that you guys are going to be shouting controversy on.
Alright, would you like to go next?
How about I have a turn, if it's okay?
Sure.
Go ahead, sure.
Marion Cotillard in The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh my fucking god.
You know what? I could see that. I could actually see that.
You can see that. I could barely see this bitch doing anything useful.
Her death scene is like the worst part.
I would have picked different actors to play Talia al Ghul. Seriously, I would have picked some. There would have been other actresses, but look, I get it. She was fresh from winning the Oscar for Best Lead Actress and for playing Edith and La Vie Rose. I get that, but you didn't need to have her. You didn't need to have her.
Hold on. How long has it been since La Vie and Rose came out by the time that The Dark Knight Rises was in production?
If memory serves, 2008, I think. Hold on.
This movie came out in 2007.
Close enough by a year. But the point is, it's been 5 years since she won her Oscar. But the point is, I would have picked someone else.
Legitimately speaking, it's not even that she was... I don't even think Wasted kind of says it. I feel like this was not a film for someone of her caliber to be in it, because this felt like her character was way too serious for the kind of movie that this is. And I know that the Dark Knight movies aren't exactly fun, because they're more focused on being fucking realistic and boring, like Nolan apparently wants his movies to be. But Jesus Christ, her character in this movie was such a distracting part of the film. And I completely forgot. By the way, fun little fact, this was my introduction to Talia al Ghul as a character. I had no idea who this character was in the comics until I saw this movie. And when I saw her in this, and I saw her that she was supposed to be a love interest, and that she's supposed to be Damian Wayne's mother, which, by the way, was conceived via assault? Assault on Batman's part? Because he had no consent in that whatsoever? I was like, this is how you're going to introduce a character in your movie? Like, people laugh at the Robin Easter egg at the end there, but fuck that! I'm laughing at the fact that they introduced what is supposed to be a mainstream love interest and pseudo-antagonist in such a pathetic way, and they gave her the shittiest death scene in movie history.
My father's work is done.
Worst death ever, to quote fucking...
Once again,
to quote how it should have ended.
Marion Cotillard, Madame et Messieurs.
To be fair, she also did the forehead titties Funny or Die sketch, so can you really take her too seriously when she's doing a sketch where she has boobs on her forehead?
Honestly, I think Bane is, like, right next to her death.
I mean... To be honest, I didn't really mind Bane too much. I think he was the one thing in this movie that
No, I mean his death.
Yeah, he got shot by toucan and then dead. He just died.
Did he actually die in that? I thought he was knocked the fuck out.
No, he died. It was confirmed by the novel.
No, he definitely died.
Yep, he got shot via cannon fire from the bat pod.
Yep.
This guy can take the beating of a lifetime. He can break Batman's back. But when it comes to regular fucking firearms, That's where it draws the line.
Hold on. We're talking about 2 big guns, so I'm pretty sure those are powerful, high-caliber bullets.
We're talking about Bane here! Motherfucker is built like a brick shithouse! Even if he doesn't have the venom like in the comics, he's still an overpowered monster! There's no way...
Seb, this isn't the comic books. This isn't the animated series. Hell,
I don't care!
This isn't Bane is not part of the Shinzengumi from Rurouni Kenshin. He's not built that way. I wish he was, but he's not.
He's still human after all, Sebastian. He may be muscle, but he's still human after all. You can still get killed by a weapon of that type of caliber.
Yep. Tell that to Batman! Tell that to Batman! No. Tell that to Batman, who fucking survived a nuclear explosion that he tossed into the ocean and somehow flew the fuck away before the radiation could get to him.
I blame David Goyer.
Well, that's true. All the bad things in the world you can blame on David Goyer.
But are because I'm Batman.
Fuck off, Batman.
Okay, so I think we can call this topic one and done.
Yes. Who else has something they want to say?
I'm actually trying to find out if there are other contenders for the role of Talia al Ghul, but I haven't found any of who were original contenders before Marion.
Honestly, if you want a really good Talia al Ghul, the one in Arkham City is.
Yes.
That was
Dana Katic.
Okay, well, you two are simping. Diego, did you have anything that you want to bring up?
I'm just saying, Talia al Ghul looks as good as she does in real life as she does in the video game. Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for me to find her attractive when she legitimately raped Batman, but okay.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
It is my time to shine, and I've got a take that, you know what? We really need to illustrate the good types of wasteful, because believe it or not, there are good types of wasteful in movies. You guys brought up the Suicide Squad originally, which was the good kind of wasteful because it was spectacle and it was used practically for comedy.
Exactly.
So, with that said, another wasteful death that was used for comedy was, and these are actually 2 characters, Dwayne Johnson and Samuel L. Jackson in the other.
Yes!
I knew it. I knew you hated that.
Aim for the bushes?
Yep, that's exactly it. That's one of the funniest scenes of all time. Okay, so the other guys, for those who haven't seen it, is about Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. They are 2 police accountants for the NYPD. They get their chance to be detectives when they have to investigate a series of robberies and murders in New York after the 2 hotshot officers, tragically, I should say hilariously, are killed in action. And those 2 officers are The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. And their characters are supposed to be a satire for the stereotypical action hero cops in all these movies that glorify collateral damage and paint the cops as squeaky clean heroes right after they do it. The scene I'm about to talk about, which Sebastian alluded to, is my absolute favorite in the movie and one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in any movie. Top 5 for sure. The story does a really good job of illustrating just how arrogant and cocky these guys are. The collateral damage they cause on the job is one thing, but these guys are basically cartoon characters, man. The Rock is supposedly dating Kim Kardashian, and he's not subtle about it at all. Samuel L. Jackson, in his thank you speech to his fellow precinct officers after he gets like a medal or something, goes, "It's all thanks to you guys. All the hard work, all the fame, all the sex with women that we don't want to have, but we have to, and none of it is worth it without you guys."
And we'll do it again and again. Hey, you shut your face! If you want to hear you talk, I will shove my hand up your ass and move your head like a puppet.
Yep. So they're iconic. So later on, these 2 guys are chasing these jewelry store robbers. The robbers climb up to the roof of this 30-story building, and they use ropes to rappel down to the street, and that's how they get away. And then they cut the ropes just before the 2 cops get there. The 2 cops are on the roof watching the robbers get away. The Rock turns to Samuel L. Jackson and goes,
"Aim for the bushes."
They fucking jump off the building. The song "My Hero" by
There goes my hero.
Dead.
And that's the funniest part about this whole thing is, given how The Rock tanked the future plans for Black Adam and Shazam because he wanted to flex his ego, you cannot convince me that he wouldn't actually do this shit in real life.
I need to rewatch it. It's been years.
What I love is how
classic, man.
what I love
underrated, man.
what I fucking love is how serious the scene plays itself with the music. How it looks so cool. It's like, there goes my hero.
And fucking slow motion shot.
Yes! No, what I love about this, when I watched this in theaters, like, we were all so glued to the thing happening that when it finally happened, the shock of it was so much that everyone immediately went from gasping to immediately bursting into laughter when it got to the fucking funeral, because they couldn't believe that this actually happened. I was the only one laughing in the theater, because when I saw them they fell so far down that they broke the floor around them, and that's a concrete fucking floor. How heavy are these people?
Oh, that's fucking great.
I'm gonna put him on my watch list right now. I need to watch.
Oh my god, I love this movie.
Me too.
There's so many iconic scenes, though. Christina, you come into my house, you get my wife's name right.
Christina!
Hey, you get back here, you make love to my wife.
No. Was Mark Wahlberg proving to his ex-girlfriend that, she likes me dancing, and he demonstrated he can fucking do it?
Yes!
And they were all surprised.
Yeah, he learned it sarcastically.
No. My favorite gag out of everything in this movie was the fact that fucking Mark Wahlberg accidentally shot Derek Jeter. And this one...
fucking great.
No, the best part about that was when he was talking to counseling, all the cops were shitting on him. This one guy was like, because you shot Derek Jeter, he's a biracial angel. And then the one guy goes, you should have shot A-Rod.
Oh god, that's great.
No, wait. Michael Keaton as the as the captain of police. It was surprising to see him in that movie. Remember?
Oh, I remember. I love that every line of dialogue that he said was supposed to be like a lyric or a quote to TLC. Like, don't go chasing waterfalls. And everybody kept calling him out, but he was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I also love the running gag with his wife, with Will Ferrell's wife, played by Eva Mendes.
Definitely not out of his league.
I mean,
love that recurring gag, wait, that's your wife?
It's like, look, they're not all first picks. Come on, you're gonna tell me who that is? No, that's not even the thing that had me laughing. What had me laughing was that every sexy woman in Hollywood was fucking lusting for Will Ferrell in this movie. Like when they're in the basketball game and Brooke Shields is asking him to call her.
And Mark's like, the fuck?
Yes.
Like, what?
I think at the end of the movie he says that he had sex with freaking
Heather Locklear. Heather Locklear.
Yes. He's like, what?
She actually became a TV actress. I don't know if you know this name.
I love that his backstory was that he was a fucking pimp before he became a cop.
I love how
Seb, it reminds me of those sketches you showed me where you got Kean Thompson reacting to this average Joe, and he has this stunner of a wife, and he's like figuring out how the hell.
No one in the world can believe that this man was able to score a foxy woman like that as his wife. And the first skit, he's talking about the skits where Mikey Day on SNL is married to. The first one was with Margot Robbie, and the second one was with Jennifer Lopez. And I love that on the first one, all the news broadcasters are coming up with different ideas or theories, and when they bring up the fact that she's probably only dating him because she got Stockholm Syndrome, Margot Robbie looks to them and says, I'm with my Matt because he's the most loving and caring man in the world. Most men would be angry at the world that they were born with just testicles and no penis. Not my Matt Shat. And everyone's just looking horrified. And
They're like, what? They think that the guy has a giant downstairs, or he's a super mega millionaire, but no, it's because he's actually a really good guy. Or to quote Jessica Rabbit, he just makes me laugh.
Neil McNabb reporting live from a world that no longer makes sense. With this movie, I have to agree on when it comes to good waste, that was definitely the right way to do so. I think, actually, if we're going to talk about hilarious wastes in movies, wouldn't it also make sense to bring up Brad Pitt in Deadpool 2?
Amen to that. Yes.
Which, mind you, if I'm not mistaken, he was paid by coffee. Thanks to Ryan Reynolds.
Yep. I think it was like 2 hours of shooting. That's it. 2
hours? Why couldn't they just get... How long does it take to shoot him literally just on a fucking... in front of a fucking power outlet?
That must have been a Starbucks coffee.
No, it was a pumpkin spice. That's why they were able to convince him, because you can't find those anywhere.
That would explain it. Yeah, the pumpkin spice.
Just you can't find that shit anywhere. Oh my god. Does anybody else have anything else they want to bring up? No.
I mean, besides the fact that Ryan Reynolds somehow convinced Brad Pitt to cameo in his movie for like 3 seconds.
I mean, at least that was funny, which is more than. Well, I think I can close us out with one more. So I had this one particular entry that I wanted to bring up, but none of you probably are going to agree with me on this, or rather, Emmanuel should have been here for that, but because he decided to puss out and go out into the wasteland, I now have to bring it up with all of you. So, who would you say is the best Batman and Joker ever?
Okay, animation-wise or live-action-wise?
Yes, Gabe?
Best Batman and Joker. It's Dark Knight. Dark Knight. For me, it's Dark Knight. It's
Heath Ledger's Joker. Best live
Christian Bale and Heath Ledger's Joker.
Okay, so in live action, those are definitely the best. But in terms of animation, we all know that the answer is Mark Hamill, and when it comes to Batman, it's obviously the dearly departed Kevin Conroy.
God bless.
Rest in peace.
So, I am about to piss a lot of people off with what I am about to say, but
you are going to die.
Probably Batman, because my entry for this is Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill in Batman the Killing Joke.
I knew it.
Wow. Wow. I mean, wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about playing the big guns.
I mean, you got a point, but you know who's the biggest loser in this movie besides those two?
Brian Azzarello, for the way he reacted to the whole controversy with Batgirl.
I was actually gonna say Grady Leslie as Batgirl, but yeah, let's go with that.
That was Tara Strong, bro.
Tara, yep, it's been a while. Tara Strong, you're right. Tara Strong as Batgirl in this movie, just Batgirl in general in this movie.
Absolutely. But so I wanted to originally mention Batgirl in there, but to be honest, as bad as it was what they did with Batgirl, because it wasn't a waste, it was just criminal what they did with her in the film. In terms of casting, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill were the worst possible picks for Batman and the Joker in this movie. And I have multiple reasons for why that is. Number one...
Let's hear it. I'm curious.
Okay, nice. I'm interested.
Okay, alright, so let me first start off by saying Batman and the Joker are two of the most iconic characters in comic book history, and Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy are the definitive voices. However, they were the definitive voices in the Batman animated series, and their Batman and Joker characters were definitely coded on other different material that was made specifically for them. Batman the Killing Joke was a story that came out in the 80s. No cartoons, no movies, nothing was being done with any of them. They were not even involved in anything DC related. This was a story that was written by Brian Bolland and illustrated by Alan Moore. unless I'm getting that backwards. I could be getting that backwards. If I am,
I thought Alan Moore wrote the story.
No, you're right. I'm getting that backwards. Brian Bond did the illustration. Alan Moore did the writing. I almost got that wrong. Sorry, fanboys. I don't give a shit. But this movie came out as an adaptation of a book that came out in the goddamn 80s when literally the whole concept of comics was going through a resurgence in terms of change. This was being done at the time where every big story was going through its own edgelord conversion. We got the Death of Superman, we got the Dark Knight Returns, we had the Killing Joke, we had the Clone Saga in the 80s and the 90s. I don't give a shit, but the point is, we were seeing a change in the way that characters like Batman, Superman, and all these other superheroes were being seen on the mainstream. So, why do I bring this up? These characters were not written for somebody like Mark Hamill or Kevin Conroy to voice them. They were a completely different Batman and Joker than the one that was introduced in the 90s with the Batman animated series. So, as much as we all love Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill in these roles, we love them because we associate them with this particular incarnation of the characters. We like them in the cartoon. We like them in some of the animated movies where they were contributing to. We like them in the video games because their personalities were written into the characters. They were not the same character in Batman the Killing Joke. Because this particular Batman is a seasoned Batman that has been around for years, and this particular Joker is one that has also been around for years, and these were not the type of voices to fit these particular versions of the characters. The best example that I can make out of this is that there was an episode of the Batman animated series where a bunch of kids are coming up with their own ideas of what Batman is like because of stories that they heard, which is really just an excuse for the cartoon to do little anthology-based adaptations of different stories from the comics. One of them was The Dark Knight Returns, which, despite what you might think, they did a surprisingly solid, despite a little bit sanitized for children version of the Dark Knight Returns, with the gritty, dark, and crunchy-looking version of Batman beating the shit out of criminals, and having Carrie Kelly as Robin. It was a pretty good adaptation, even if it was only for about 5 or 6 minutes. The difference here, however, was that the Batman from that particular story was not voiced by Kevin Conroy, but rather by Michael Ironside. And when you watch this short, you can tell that this voice is fitting for that particular Batman, because Kevin Conroy's Batman was not going to be fitting for that particular story. So when you hear Michael Ironside, Darkseid, voicing this particular Batman, it's not only threatening and scary, it's also demanding and booming. So you hear him say something like, "This isn't a trash heap, it's an operating table, and I'm the surgeon." Like, you cannot buy that line from somebody like Kevin Conroy, whose Batman is specifically meant to be one that's only meant to cause fear, not cause pain, which is the whole reason for why this particular Batman was never going to work if Kevin Conroy was voicing him. So then we got the Killing Joke, where this particular version of Batman is one that, again, has been around for years, but not in a way that would have fit for this particular story. His voice is completely unmatched for it, and he doesn't really feel like he's in the role. And the same can be said about Mark Hamill. This is just the first reason. Reason number 2, and this is probably the most obvious, neither one of them are actually acting in this movie. Kevin Conroy especially, he's not acting as Batman. He's reciting the lines of Batman. He's giving out the lines of the Killing Joke novel, but not actually performing as Batman himself. This movie was so scared of changing things from the source material, which at the end it didn't really do much except for that stupid prologue I'm not even going to dignify by talking about. But it was so scared of not pissing off the minority fan base that it didn't want to change anything out of fear that they were going to roast it or make fun of it online, and thus give a lot of bad press for it, which they ironically ended up doing anyway because of the aforementioned prologue. So you hear Kevin Conroy delivering these lines, these wonderful lines from the comic, and he delivers them so stilt and so robotic and so emotionless. And worst part is, Mark Hamill, who was already very, very, very fucking old to play the character, who had since retired, he feels so tired, and he sounds so tired when he's voicing the Joker in here. He never once laughs. He never once shows any sort of emotion in this film. He feels like he was more focused on reciting the lines instead of actually acting them. It's like Linkara said, instead of performing as the Joker, he's doing a soliloquy like he's doing a fucking play on Broadway or something like that. It doesn't feel like any of them are actually playing their characters. And the third and most important reason that they were wasted here is that this was the film everybody wanted to see when it came to Batman and the Joker. Arguably the most popular besides The Dark Knight Returns. And this is what they had to show for it. Getting the most popular voices for these characters in a movie where their characters were not the same voices that belonged to them. So they got Kevin Conroy voicing his Batman on a Batman that doesn't resemble his Batman in any way, shape, or form. And we had Joker voiced by Mark Hamill, even though this Joker had nothing to do with this particular voice actor's Joker. And what you're left with is a movie that doesn't really satisfy anything or anyone. Especially when you get around the fact that this was a very, very beloved story, despite how controversial and, at the end of the day, very, very hard to defend, one that really became mainstream in terms of comics. So, I want to say that they were definitely, this was by far the biggest waste when it came to Kevin Conroy as a Batman, because he may have been the greatest Batman in the world, but this was not the greatest Batman in the world. This was a Batman from the 80s that not a lot of people really care that much about, because the Batman in The Killing Joke is not the main focus. It's supposed to be Joker, and even the Joker is not given that much to work with. And the saddest part about all of that is that they still felt the need to waste Batgirl in a story that's already notorious for wasting Batgirl. I'm gonna stop right there, because if I talk any more about that, I'm gonna go on a mini rant. But yes, Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, horrible choices for The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
From what I understand, The Killing Joke has been criticized very heavily, and is meant to be regarded as like an Elseworlds like independent story anyway.
That's the thing, it isn't. Many writers and artists have since adopted The Killing Joke as the official canon for these characters, especially the Joker, because this is the story where Joker says that if I'm going to imagine my life, it's going to be multiple choice. But that was supposed to be a non-canon standalone one-shot story until they started making prequels and sequels to it. The second that they started using it as a reference for Batman and the Joker, it started to become a canonical part of their story, even though it's not supposed to be canon.
Yeah, I think that's what made it so controversial, right?
No, what made it so controversial was the fact that they fridged Batgirl.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
This was such a terrible decision, and one that angered so many people, that it actually inspired writers and artists to take Batgirl, who was already crippled at the time, and turn her into Oracle. This was never a plan by Brian Bolland, Len Weigh, who was the chief creator at the time, who approved of Alan Moore crippling Batgirl by saying, and I quote, "Yeah, sure, crippled the bitch." His exact line, you can look that up right now. And Alan Moore, who, to his very credit, has since disregarded and has basically disowned the story altogether, saying that he chose to do all these things, but the Killing Joke ultimately is not about Batgirl or really anything. And he's right. As much as I love and worship Alan Moore and the ground he walks on, he wrote a really shitty story at the end of all of this.
Damn.
I don't think it can be any more of a waste than that.
What a waste.
Exactly. What a waste. So, I think that pretty much covers it. Anyone else have anything they want to say?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, no comments.
That was pretty comprehensive.
Pretty much. Well, in that case, that about wraps up today's transmission. I'm so glad we were able to do this again. I know it's been a while since we've done this, but we're going to try to make this a bi-weekly thing instead of a weekly thing because everybody gets tired after so long of doing this, and that's part of the reason why we went on a break as well, to try to give us a little bit more steam to build up in order to do it again in the future. And now that it's been a while, I can definitely say that we are back to doing this. So, what did you guys feel about this? Did you guys have fun today?
Oh yeah, definitely. This
Yeah, I
was
had a
good
lot of
time.
fun.
Yeah.
This was good.
It really was. So, thank you so much for listening to us. And before we sign out, I'd like to give a special shout out to our patrons of honor: Wait in the Wings, Abigail Verzella, Chelsea A. Crandall, and Kate from KateCast Reviews. If you like what we do here and you would like to see more, then check out our YouTube channel for reviews, video essays, let's plays, and more. And if you would like to join us and have a seat here with us talking here on the Wasteland, then you should check out our Patreon page for bonus content and exclusive rewards. One of which includes the opportunity to be able to join us live from Discord as we talk about whatever topic we decide to talk about here on the podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews. And guys, would you like to close us out?
We'll see you on the Wasteland.
See you in the Wasteland, guys.
later.
See you all on the Wasteland.